Welcome to Turning Tuesday. I'm Reese. I've turned in Oz. I am an Australian hobbyist wood turner. This week I am turning some of Richard Raffin's offcuts. I am making a 65mm small bowl. There will be many mistakes and plenty of learning opportunities along the way. Starting by putting the blank on a woodworm and starting to work it down. So I'm just going to rough it down. As you might be able to tell, I'm using a spindle gouge on this one. I do shift between several different things. I will use a bowl gouge at times. I definitely use scrapers. Now this is my second time and second project using a scraper. So I will definitely be making plenty of mistakes and hopefully we can learn together. So, as you can see, I'm just using that left wing of that spindle gouge and I'm just shaving it down. Some beautiful shavings coming off there and just flattening off the face. It's coming together quite nicely. Just doing a gentle push across the face of this so that I can then put a marking on so that I can put a tenon. The tenon will become the foot and it's coming together quite nicely. So now I'm just pushing in and there's one of my first little skates. What's happening here is I'm moving the tool too quickly. I haven't actually established a groove for the bevel to ride in. So this is all 100% user error and completely avoidable. I was just being an idiot. So just putting on some marks for the tenon. So first one was a little too wide. Second one a little too narrow. So I'll split the difference and call it in the middle. Next what I'll do is a couple little push cuts in towards the chuck so that I can start developing that foot. Now, as I'm cruising along here, you'll notice I'm still getting those little skates. And I was getting frustrated with myself, so I went and grabbed the scraper. Now, you'll notice I've still got a big flappy bit hanging around the outside there. That's because it's too close to the jaws, and I'm not even sure how that loosened off like that. So, that's interesting, but it happens, and I got very lucky. So, there was no damage to it, and as this is something that's really small, there was high potential for damage. Now, I am using the bowl gouge there. I did not feel like that was the full job at the time. So I just quickly moved around to getting that scraper and starting to form those sides. I am very much enjoying how that scraper gives a beautiful smooth finish. There we go, some more skates. Now, I just cut a little section out there because I got quite enough to catch on that foot because I was being an idiot. Now, this one, I am not getting the angle right. You'll notice here that it's almost flat. I should be putting a negative break on it, but I'm not. So, as I said, this is my second time using a scraper, and I am playing and trying not to blow things up. Now this foot's coming together quite nicely, and as I cruise along here I will get to a point here where I'm satisfied, and then I will throw it in my old chuck using standard dovetail jaws because its jaws are actually small enough to take a piece like this. My 75mm jaws on the Vicmarc just are not the right size for it and it would never be able to work. So as you can see, I'm now getting some more skating, and yeah, it's just me rushing and not being sensible. This is a real-time clip of doing a face push and it's coming together quite nicely. I very much enjoy this. Nice satisfying cut the whole way across. Now I'm doing some very gentle edge pushes there, just making sure I don't whack it out of balance by being too rough. So just nice, gentle, gliding the bevel and getting some nice long stringers off the side there. That's come together beautifully, but there is still a nice little flat spot around the edge there, so I'll just work it in a little bit more. And I don't know if I was just getting a little too excited and really enjoying these nice long stringers, but I feel like I probably went further than I needed to while watching this back. Taking a cue from an old ad, it's what Richard Raffin rejects that makes him the best. I really enjoyed that ad, and I'm really enjoying playing with these offcuts. Sorry, I was just getting mesmerized by those beautiful stringers. Now, we will now be moving on to, I believe we're going to start coring. After I just take a little edge off there. I'm just trying to blend that exterior edge in with that shrunk down side. Now I'm going to start coring, and here we go. So as you can see, I am using the spindle gouge with a fingernail profile, and it is working alright. Now, I am getting some skating here, and that's because I'm not using it correctly. And by that, I'm trying to say the back of the bevel was tapping it first, and as a result, it was just jumping. Now, at the time, I did not realize what I was doing, and I then changed over to the bowl gouge, which I was sorely disappointed, and then I was just like, nah, I'm gonna pursue this and figure out, correct everything. And you may hear me yelling at myself because I know that it works. My brain was just not connecting the pieces. And that's just one of the beauties of the things I have to deal with in my brain. I can do things a million times, but the one time I do it wrong, I beat myself up for it. So, anyways, moving on, because these are some beautiful cuts. Very much enjoying this. So as you can see, I did finally start getting the hang of that spindle gouge for coring, and it was doing the trick quite nicely. Now I'm using the bowl scraper here, and I am just trying to work it down. I was going quite aggressive with it, and my angle is definitely wrong. So if you're looking here, it's not quite flat. It is actually a raised handle, but I think my tool rest is a touch too low still. As I said, this is only my second time trying to use the scrapers, so I am having quite a steep learning curve here. And I'm getting beaten up for it, and that's the only way to learn. Now I am coming around and creating a nice little dome on the outside here. I do work that away to quite a nice little point on the outside of the bowl. It's come together quite nicely. Now, there, I most definitely am flat, and I shouldn't be. I mostly get away with it. I get a little nick here, but it's nothing that doesn't come out. I was a bit disappointed with myself for staying so low. But again, all part of the learning journey. So, as my video alluded to last week, make mistakes, make them often, and in my case, I'm able to watch them back because I record everything. I'm able to watch any mistake I make back and analyze it to see what I can do better next time. So I don't always pick it up in the moment because, let's face it, the lathe spins very fast. You're not going to see every little micro fraction of a movement you make. And that's why recording and watching it back is helpful for me. So I've just dipped the tip down below center there, and I am now bringing it out to the edge. And as you can hear, I am getting a little frustrated because I was doing it right and then it wasn't. So you'll notice there I'm just doing a shear scrape. I'm about 45 degrees up on an angle, and I am just scraping that out and trying to get some beautiful smooth sides. You may have heard that very big screech in the background. That is a crack up near the surface of the rim, and I'm going to have to deal with that quite severely. Now, I get quite a nasty catch here, and you may hear me yelling at myself. Again, that's part of what happens with me. I get very frustrated because I know better, and I make simple mistakes, and I just get ridiculously frustrated with myself. It's not something I can control, but it does happen. So, anyway. Me. My brain. There we go. Dipping below center again, just making sure there's no little nub there. And coming out with a shear scrape. Now, I do start sanding here, and then I will move in and put some glue in that crack. So I actually sanded it the whole way to 600 here before I put glue on, and that worked out quite nicely. So here I'm just blowing out the pores. You'll notice there's some very nasty chatter going around the rim there. So all those little ridges the whole way around, it's most definitely chatter, and it's not great. But it will sand out, and it's not a major problem. So, wardrobe change, and I came back in the afternoon. So I started this in the morning, came back this afternoon to finish it off. And as you can see, that those chatter marks are very obvious. So I spend the next little while just sanding. As Sid alluded to, sound like someone else is paying for it. Which I believe is a quote from Glenn Lucas, and I do like that saying. It's not like a bowl this size uses much in the way of sandpaper, so it's not a major deal. So I did stick with 150 for quite a while, and then I stepped up to 600 eventually. And once I got to 600, I then used some Triple E from Beaut products. And I hand applied it first, then I went to a clean spot on the rag, and I turned the lathe on to buff it in and get a nice shine. Then I did a second run with the Triple E, and I really enjoyed how that one came out. I then came with the Shellawax Glow, because I wasn't sure if there was going to be any full-blown chatoyance, but there's definitely figure. It's not chatoyance, it's not shifting color, but there's definitely some very cool patterns in the grain. So, yeah. I know the Richards bowls that he got from just around this piece definitely had full-blown chatoyance, and unfortunately, it didn't come out in this piece. Now, here's another first of me making a jam chuck. Well, I guess it's jam chuck. Close enough. So what I do here is I just make a nice little round over so that it doesn't do any serious damage to the inside of the bowl, and then I line the bowl up on it. Now I did put one of my EVA foam pads inside it. Unfortunately, it wasn't quite enough. Now you may notice I've got a problem here. I didn't turn away the rest of the jam chuck, and now I've got flappy corners flying around really fast. So I'm going to move in and take that out because I need the space, because I need to get up to the very tip of the rim. So I'm just coming in. Now you'll notice I was using a bit better of an angle there. I could have used the skew, but I wanted a bit more practice with the scraper. And yes, I know a scraper leaves an absolute horrible finish on anything you do like that, but in this case it was just for making sure I was practicing the angle. You may have noticed with my laser engraver I engraved a little slogan, which was try, fail often, learn. And I'd just like everyone to remember that it is always a learning process. You're always learning, and if you're not failing, then you're probably not trying hard enough. So get out of your comfort zone, have some fun, don't do anything overly dangerous. Try not to do anything dangerous. I mean, you can just ignore my safety sandals that I'm wearing, but you know. When I'm working with tiny little pieces like this, I don't think my feet are going to be hurt from it. So again, I did 2 layers of the Triple E because it worked last time, and then I put 2 layers of the Shellawax on. And then I had a little bit of fun because I then took it off and realized that there was a rim around the inside because it was not quite fully protected by the EVA and it was rubbing against the wood. So what I'll do is I'll show you how I combated that after this. So popping it off there, and you'll notice that I'm disappointed with it around the rim there. It's just a slight circle. Now, what I did was I pulled out my buffing kit with the drill. I applied some Triple E to those sections, and then I buffed it in. Then I got the Shellawax and buffed it in again. And then we have a finished bowl. Thank you for watching, and here's some finished photos. You can see that little crack that's over there, and some absolutely interesting figure in the wood, but no chatoyance. Thanks for watching.